Hi everyone, my name is Sonia Chan and I will be discussing Mexican food culture with you today. Some of the objectives I'll be going over and you'll be learning about is some Mexican traditional foods and some traditional Mexican eating patterns, health beliefs, and the effects of American culture on Mexican eating behaviors. Mexican cuisine and food behaviors are often tied to festivals and symbolism. This is due to the structure of the economy and the relation to the social structure of the country. The foods tend to be complicated due to this. Food does uphold social relationships where meals are prepared for occasions and certain dinners. Some of the staple foods you can follow along with me. You can see it on the screen. I broke it down by food group. In the grain section, flour, corn tortillas, pasta, rice, oatmeal. Corn is actually considered a sacred plant, and it's one of the most important staple foods of both past and present-day Mexicans. We know today, actually, that the corn has been present in the Mexican diet for more than 7,000 years, which is pretty interesting to learn. Under the fruit category, guava, banana, lime, cactus, avocado. Avocados are actually one of the fruits of the pre-Hispanic world. Under vegetables, tomatoes, chilies, onions, chayote. Tomatoes were at the heart of ancient Mexican diet, and chayote, if you're not familiar, is a prickly fruit with an almost sweet flavor. We don't use it normally here, but it very much is a part of Mexican cuisine. Milk, the milk group, goat and cow milk are both used. Custard, known as flan, evaporated milk, and lots of cheese. Under the meat category, all meats are consumed in the Mexican traditional culture. Mostly beans you would see that in every meal. Just to throw this out there, a traditional dish is a ranch-style beans cooked with onion, pork cracklings. Beans are actually known as the second pillar of Mexican cuisine, and this comes after corn, and chili is the third pillar. Symbolic foods and traditions. Traditional meals are often prepared in large amounts that are great enough to feed a large number of guests. This type of cooking is part of a custom that is meant to bind communities and families together. There is typically a special dish for every season and every occasion. These dishes mostly derive from food preferences of the Mexican ancestors or the Aztecs, as we would know them as. Although Christian Catholicism is a major religion of Mexico, food does not have a major impact on religion and vice versa, so religion doesn't have a major impact on the food choices. Symbolic foods and traditions. So some of the traditional foods that are used at special occasions. If you're not familiar, I'll show you pictures. So this is what mole looks like. It's a combination flavorful of like nutty, sweet, slightly bitter, and a roasted flavor. It's served at special occasions and festivals such as Easter, Christmas, and birthdays. Tamales, a lot of us are familiar with that, but if you're not, this is what tamales look like. They can be filled with cheeses, meats, vegetables, and chilies, and it's steamed in a corn husk or banana leaves, which are not eaten. They're discarded of, and from this example you can see it's wrapped in corn husk. And carnitas, barbacoa, and mixiote, these foods have become acceptable for special occasions over time. They're generally cheaper and can be bought ready-made, so this is why they're accepted now. It's more convenient. It doesn't take up a lot of time. If you're not familiar, carnitas, these are on the top left. It translates to little meats. The top right is barbacoa, which translates to barbecued meat. It's meat that's prepared very tender, so it shreds easily. And then on the bottom is mixiote, which is a traditional lamb barbecue. Preparation of food. So foods are mostly cooked from scratch. Women are primarily the ones in the kitchen, and this is just tradition that goes back. It dates way back. Several hours per day are spent in the kitchen per meal. And just to give you a general idea of how much time it takes to cook from scratch, I'll give you an example of how tortillas are made. So Mexican women spend several hours per day boiling dried corn. You can see on the top left is the corn boiling. Everything is done from scratch, traditionally. So after that, the corn is grinded to make dough for the tortillas. You can see that on the top right, that being done. And then the tortillas are cooked on a como griddle. And you could see on the bottom, traditionally it's done one at a time, cooked on the griddle, but in this picture it's a bigger one and made out of clay, typically. As for salsa and sauces, they're ground in a mortar. Today, mostly blenders are actually used, even though the texture is a bit different. It's convenience, because it can be time-consuming to do it all by hand. Availability of foods. Staple foods are widely available in Mexico. The weather environment, it's set for Mexican staple foods to grow there. Prices, unfortunately, have significantly risen over the years. This has caused low-income families to be vulnerable to this increase. Food poverty is highest in poorer regions. For example, in southern Mexico, food poverty is as high as 47% in Chiapas. So you could see at the bottom here a general idea of where Chiapas is in Mexico. Eating patterns. Traditional Mexican dining is known to be casual, where stories are told. About 4 or 5 meals are normally eaten each day using a knife and a fork. So typically there are 2 breakfasts that are eaten in the mornings. The first breakfast consists of sweetened breads, hot chocolate, or café con leche, which is coffee with milk. The second breakfast consists of scrambled eggs, fruits, chili sauce, tortillas, and café con leche again. The main meal is actually eaten during midday, and this consists of stews, tortillas, and beans, or it can consist of a combination of pasta, rice, a main course of fish or meat, and a vegetable or a green salad on the side. Tortillas, salsa, and rolls are almost always on the table for the main meal in midday. Desserts are considered the most important meal in Mexican tradition, and this usually consists of fried pastries or rice pudding. And then the evening meal is a lighter meal because it's before bed, and this one consists of sweetened bread with jam, hot chocolate, café con leche, and a hot cornmeal drink. Traditional health beliefs. So it is traditionally believed that the body's 4 humors, which are blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, must be kept balanced. By using the qualities of hot or cold states, this is how they're kept balanced, and they're treated with foods that complement these states. Herbal teas and soups are used as treatment for a speedy recovery. Chamomile is used to ease an upset stomach or gastrointestinal problems. Yerba buena is used as a general energizer. And then milder foods are encouraged during illness. And traditionally, Mexican foods are on the spicier side, so milder foods are known to ease these illness symptoms. Privacy, it's something that's very, so sensitive issues are kept within the family. Privacy is well respected within families. Self-disclosure to same-gender individuals is most comfortable. So if you're a woman, you would traditionally speak to another woman about your health issues, and if you're a male, you would speak to other males about your health issues. Serious or terminal illness. So traditional Mexicans do have a strong belief of the mind-body connection. It is believed that concern or worry will make matters worsen. Families do like to protect their ill family members from the knowledge of serious illness, and this prevents them from that concern or worry that's believed to worsen their health matters. Mexican food practices in America. Acculturation, which is the exposure to and the adoption of culture, in this case, American culture, it typically has a negative effect on the health behaviors of immigrants and their families. Mexican Americans consume fewer traditional Mexican food items than their foreign-born counterparts due to money and convenience. While the consumption of traditional foods is declining, the consumption of less healthy food choices is increasing, such as sugars, fats, pizzas, French fries. So they're kind of steering away from their traditional foods and going to a lot of fast foods. Nutrition. This does bring rise to some nutritional concerns. Increased acculturation does increase the risk for obesity by statistics. Hispanics do have a higher rate of obesity in the United States, at a rate of 42.5% obesity coming after, they come second in that rate. So to counsel patients who have any health issues or concerns, you definitely have to be open to their culture and their beliefs. It's very important to tailor your delivery methods to their culture. And what this will do is really create a better understanding between the two, between the client and therapist relationship. So you want to prepare for ethnic group differences. So even with English-speaking clients, utilizing their Mexican values may improve therapy or treatment. You really want to learn about their cultural framework. For example, you want to understand their etiquette. Just as an example, in their tradition, shaking hands is considered polite. So that would be a nice gesture to show that you understand them, you're showing politeness, and you care. Also in their culture, they do tend to get very closely when they're conversing. So showing that you're uncomfortable with that might be considered rude, and it's important to be very aware of that, like little gestures like that, just so you can make them feel comfortable. It's important to understand any barriers and get them to open up about barriers. So some examples of these barriers can be language. So you want to be familiar with maybe some common terms, or even if they don't speak English at all, maybe get a translator and understand certain words that they use. Income can be a barrier. Low income tend to have concerns of purchasing healthy food items. Household size can definitely be a barrier. The more children you have, or the more people living in a household, the more they will have to provide. So we want to work to get rid of these barriers. You want to understand their food habits, how many meals they're eating per day, and you want to understand the client's purpose. This purpose is what's going to drive your clients to reach their goals, whatever long-term goals they may have, or short-term goals. And it's important to keep coming back to that purpose after each session. It's important to show empathy. It is a fundamental component in therapeutic relationships. It really shows that you care, and it makes them feel very comfortable. In order to drive conversation, open-ended questions is the key. This gets them to open up to you, and you will get more valuable information from them that way. Asking questions, broad-based, rather than very specific questions, will get them to speak up more. And here's some of my references. Thank you so much for watching, and